Mm. Hi,
Yep.
yeah, so I'm here with Lee Bryant of Hike the Peak.
Hello.
Hi Lee.
Hello.
I guess to start with, what is Hike the Peak? It seems like a very unique concept because it seems to be drawing a lot of people from a lot of different bands from all over the place. And kind of how does that work? How do you record music when everyone's all across the world?
Well, what we'll do is kind of go back to the start. So, I used to play in a band called No Contest, and we toured Europe loads and loads of times. We were based out of my hometown of Grimsby, and obviously when COVID come in, there was literally you couldn't get in a rehearsal room, you couldn't do anything like that, and it became, problematic. We were a very traditional band, so the other guys kind of didn't have access to like home recording equipment. It was very much kind of getting in a rehearsal room, thrashing stuff out, and kind of doing it that way. But over the past 7, 8, 9 years, I basically bought Logic, and I really got into like home recording and all that kind of thing. And obviously during COVID, it gave me something to focus on. So I've got a hard drive with like loads and loads of songs, and I'll scuttle away into me home studio, which is where I am now, and just write stuff because I've got a lot of guitar plugins and drum software and all that kind of stuff, and just building up all this stuff. I can't sing, so I'll be brutally honest. I can back in vocals, but I need to be buried in a mix.
Okay.
So I had all these ideas, these songs, but it's like, well, if unless I get people who can actually sing to
Yeah.
actually do stuff, they're not. It's not. Nothing's going to happen with them.
Yeah.
So I had this idea. I thought everybody else is kind of stuck in the same boat during COVID. They can't do anything, and I kind of thought I know people who've actually got the same setup as me. So they do home recording. They've got mics and all that kind of jazz. So I just thought I'll just send out a bunch of emails to see if I can actually do something with this. And there was 3 or 4 people literally within a couple of days got back to me and said,
Really?
yeah, game on. So it gets to a point I must have 50 or 60 songs on the hard drive. So what I'd do is I'd kind of get people. So all of these contacts of people that I'd got, I'd basically just email them 3 or 4 songs, one of which would kind of be to what their band actually plays, and
Yeah.
then the others, a couple of different ones,
Yeah.
and said the ethos is it's about collaboration.
Yeah.
So you write whatever you want. I don't give you a brief or anything like
Mhm.
that, and just see what happens. And it's really amazing when they go off and do their thing.
Yeah.
Some people have basically like sent me demos of what they're doing to see how what do I think. Whereas
Yeah.
sometimes other people, the first time I hear it is when they've recorded their vocals
Yeah.
and they'll send the stems back, but they'll actually do a little mix themselves. So the first time I hear it is the song with the vocals when I press play, when I open my
Okay.
inbox.
Yeah.
And it's just some of the results I've had so far have been absolutely mind blowing.
So you
Like,
don't write any of the words then?
nope, I don't write any of the lyrics. That's
You write the music and then just
all the music.
send it
I
to.
write all the music and then send it to them, and then that's what their ownership has been part of the project.
So you could end up with
Because
any kind of vocals back, really. You could end
no,
up with.
I could, yeah, pretty much. But I kind of know what I'm going to get because
Yeah.
obviously they're my friends and I know their bands and I know
Yeah.
all their work. So I'm not going to get some kind of weird jazz skiffle or anything back. I know kind of what I'm going to get.
Yeah. But it's quite
Um,
interesting because you could at some point send it to someone that's completely outside of your genre and you could get, say, a really indie vocal back or I don't know, a hip
uh,
hop vocal back set to your music. It's
yeah, but the thing is, it's about one of the things that I did was one of my friends is deep into the electro
yeah.
scene, and what I did is I said, "Well, would you fancy doing a remix of one of these songs?"
Mm.
And so I sent him all of the stems for one of the songs, and he did like a electro remix,
Okay.
and he basically did it on like it was last year. I woke up on Christmas Day morning and to the open and he sent me this finished track. So we'd been up on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
obviously had a couple of beers and thought I'm going to do this now, and did it
Mm.
all night. And it was just it hasn't kind of touched with the people, but I really wanted to do something a little bit different and
Yeah.
see because it is it's the new modern thing with
Yeah.
bands is you are writing songs, you're sending demos to each other, and there's people write albums
Yeah.
without actually getting into a studio and then when they actually play the song together the first time is actually in the studio when they're recording it properly.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy that music has come on like that, and it's not all just going down into the studio and recording your various bits and all sort
Yeah,
of
and
getting
that
mixed up and put together there and then.
Yeah, it's the 21st century, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to get on board with that. You know, the tangibility of music and stuff. You know, I've still got vinyl, I've still got CDs, but I haven't bought a CD in a long time.
No.
And it's very much, the band itself is kind of built around digital streaming, because
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to be able to play live because we've got people doing vocals from Canada, from
Yeah, I was gonna say
Japan,
that's
from
gonna.
all over Europe, from Norway, from Sweden, from America, from South America. And so it's never going to happen unless it's like you know, like a festival where I
Yeah.
know a couple of the bands are booked and we can maybe do something. But
Yeah.
you know, it's you know, an interesting concept that I only thought was going to go just with COVID and then kind of
Yeah.
draw a line under it. But it's kind of got its own momentum now.
Yeah.
So, you know, as long as people keep listening, the streams are going up, you know, the followers are going up.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, I'm not in it to make money. Nobody's in playing, you know, skate punk or anything like that. Nobody's making any money.
No.
And it's purely for the love. And, you know, until I run out of money, or because I don't mix the stuff. In the first 10 songs that we did, one of my friends who's basically, he kind of did a lot of musical recording stuff. We came to an agreement. He mixed all the stuff and mastered it. And it was like, okay, that's pretty good. When I started the next 10 songs, which were in the cycle now, my friend Danny, who's the vocalist with skate punk Fair Dues, who are based kind of into the Manchester area, he's trying to build up his portfolio of recording. And he's like, yeah, your guitars are good, but we can do better. So we've got the demos and we're going and replacing all the guitars, re-recording the guitars, got a proper bass player, because I've got a bass guitar, but I'm not a bass player. And there is, you know, a difference in playing guitar and bass. So start letting more people in and take it a bit more serious.
Yeah. So initially, did you play everything on every track then? I
played everything on every track and programmed the drums.
Okay. But now it's branching out so that.
And now it's branching out, so you know, to get a bass player. So I'll play that. I'll record a scratch bass line.
Yeah.
And then Steve, when he gets in the studio with Danny, when we've done the guitars, he'll say, oh, we've got 4 songs that need bass. He'll go in for a day. And he may change some bits, you know, he'll put that kind of proper bass player spin, maybe some scale, all that stuff. And he's not going to do anything wild because all the guitars and drums are all there.
Yeah.
But it's just about getting people that have their strengths, and it's about building on the strengths.
And that's what you've created.
Yeah, because it's about, you know, it's about, you know, a lot of people say when you write music, once you've recorded it and you let it go, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to people who actually listen to it. And it's par for the case of me not having, obviously it's quite an ego thing or a bit of control, because it's like, this is all my stuff. This is all that, you know, this is how we want. But it's nice to actually, you know, we've kind of done some exchange. I've shot a couple of music videos for his band. I'm still paying him a bit. He's giving me a reduced rate. But the quality of the tunes has gone massively up. And that's because it's nice to have someone sitting next to you and going, you can play that better. You can do that. How about changing that to match that and all that kind of stuff. And it's purely about having someone on board to say, yeah, this is good and we can do this.
So have you ever met any of the other people then? Because I know some of them you have. You do know.
Yeah, well, so I would say with the old band, we've toured Europe a bunch of times. Okay. And so I'd kind of played gigs with a lot of these people anyway. So like Sean and Joe, who were on the first EP, I've known Sean for a very, very long time. And we played a couple of dates with Coral Springs, who Joe sings with. And we played Punk Rock Holiday with them in Slovenia, like in 2016. And, you know, the scene is not massive. It's very insular. And everybody kind of knows each other. There is a very long list of people who've not responded to my requests, because it's getting to the point now where I'm approaching people that I don't know. And say, you know, would you mind doing this? You know, some people say, sorry, I ain't got time, I'm too busy. And it's like, okay, fine, I don't take it personally. There are other people who've basically contacted me to ask to be a part of it, which is that kind of proves that, you know, it's got its own momentum now.
So, kind of works,
So, you know, I've got a hard drive full of stuff, and it's until I run out of songs or run out of money. So we just keep going.
So who is Hike the Peak? Is Hike the Peak you?
It's just me.
These other bands, or is it?
That's pretty much it. I class everybody who kind of gets involved. It's a family, so to speak. You know, everybody's pretty supportive. Everybody does, you know, their bit to promo their stuff, because I think they are proud of what they've done, and it's something that's slightly different to what they're doing with their usual band.
Yeah.
Which is
do all the other people interact with each other, or is it very much you interact with person X and
yeah,
so they don't interact?
No, not with each other. I did set up kind of a little bit of a Facebook chat kind of group with everybody on it, but obviously the last thing you want is bloody messages ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
And you know, I just need them for their expertise and their time. And if they're willing to give that up, you know, I feel it very humbling. I can't give anybody any grief because it's all done on you know, goodwill.
Yeah.
So if you know, if deadlines are not met, I can't give anybody a hard time. It's just we just have to make things move. It's fluid because it is. They're being very gracious to me by giving their time. You know,
Absolutely.
some of the guys who don't have their own recording stuff have actually hired recording studios to go and do their vocals.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And it's like, wow, I didn't expect that. I was unaware. I really appreciate that. And it's like, you know, we're really happy with what we've done. One of the bands initially, Giancarlo, who's basically, he did a song called Heading Home, and he's based in Italy. He plays in a hardcore band, and that song's a little bit harder than some of the other stuff I've done. And after we released it, he sent me an email saying, would you have a problem if my band played this song in our set?
Oh, right. Wow.
And I was like, yeah, that's amazing, because it's probably not going to be played live. So, you know, you part own this song because you wrote the lyrics, so go for your life. So I recorded my guitars and sent it to those guys so they could actually learn it.
Yeah.
So that's
wild.
Way
it could be played live if you were to, I don't know, get musicians to play live and then just have their vocals over the top as a recorded thing? Or?
No, I'm not. It has to be the full thing. Like I say, if it's a festival in England or whatever that there's a couple next year that I know that some of the bands are actually playing.
Yeah, I suppose for the ones that are in the UK and the ones that are in Europe, I noticed you've got someone who's over in Japan.
Yeah, they're on the last EPs. It's going to be very unlikely. But the thing is, I started the project up because my mental health just went bang in COVID, and it kind of kept me on an even keel.
Yeah.
And so whilst obviously it's frustrating that I've been playing in bands since I was 16 and all the stuff I'm writing now, I think is the best songs and melody and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm not mad technically proficient. I'm not shredders and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of people who can play like that. Yeah. But I just concentrate on writing catchy hooks. Yeah. And I'm at ease with the fact that I know they're not going to be there's a possibility, a very small possibility, we might play live, but I'm at ease with the fact that we can't do it. Yeah. Because I get so much enjoyment out of the project itself anyway. Yeah. So, you know, we try and do what we can, and everybody should do what they can to kind of keep yourself on an even keel. And this actually scratches the itch for me. Mm-hmm. I'm nearly 50. I'm not going in vans and sleep. Yeah. I'm not going on in vans and sleeping on floors and that kind of stuff. You know, them days I think them days I think are behind me because I like a nice comfy bed. Yeah. But it's a way to keep me, you know, kind of, I've been in this kind of melodic punk scene in Europe and the UK for a very long time. Yeah. And it's just nice to kind of touch base, and it keeps me interacting in the scene, as opposed to just stepping away and not being part of it. Because you know, all of these people have been a very big part of my life for 15, 20 years. So it's So is this the only type of music you've ever played, or have you ever played in, I don't know, metal or indie or anything? No, I've always been kind of playing this kind of melodic punk stuff. I was brought up listening to kind of Motorhead and Iron Maiden. My brother's 12 years older than me, and we had like Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart, Deep Purple and Iron Maiden, Rainbow and all that stuff in my youth. And then I kind of veered away from that when I started, I think it was I heard the Descendants and Minor Threat in like the mid-80s. Okay. And that was like, right, I don't really want that. I want that now. And that's kind of where I went. So this is the sort of music you listen to. What you make is what you listen to. Yeah. I've got a very wide library of music. I did an interview last week, a print interview. One of the questions was, have you got any quirky albums in your collection? I was like, yeah, Madonna, Immaculate Collection. Backstreet Boys, Millennium, you know, Belinda Carlisle records. I love 80s pop. So, you know,
Yeah,
Music is music, and nobody
it
can ever
is.
tell you, anybody can tell you that you don't like it, but because everybody, likes something different, and
I think that's been
you
the
like what you
beauty of.
like.
I think that's been the beauty for me doing Click Roll Boom, is the fact that I've had to explore music that normally I would say, oh, I don't like that. I don't know,
Yeah,
R&B or rap or pop or whatever. And some of it, yeah, some of it I listen to and I think, yeah, that doesn't stick and I don't like it. And it really, but sometimes I think, well, by rights, from what you said in the past, you shouldn't enjoy that. But I actually find that it is, yeah, music is music. You like what you like. It
yeah,
doesn't need to fit into a genre. It doesn't need to fit into anything. I
yeah, and
feel like nowadays genres are getting so specific that everything seems to be really need to be really labeled right down to the sort of everything. And I don't
yeah.
necessarily know that music needs that.
No, and that's the thing, that it's finding something that one of the records we used to put on to when we was on tour in the van. We used to listen to Kesha a lot.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
random. So bunch of six lads in a van listening to Venga. We turned up to Punk Rock Holiday playing Venga Boys
Oh, God.
out of the van. The geezers was like, "What are you doing? This is a punk
I
rock
think the thing as
festival." But
well
it's
with music now is the music that was about kind of 25 years ago that maybe as a teenager I said, oh, I hate that. I listen to it now and it's so nostalgic
oh
that
yeah, because
I love it so much, stuff that I really wouldn't have listened to at the time. The nostalgia is just.
yeah, because it pinpoints things in your life, regardless of whether you like something or not.
Exactly.
It's a timestamp, and you'll hear something on the radio, and and all of a sudden it'll just click with, it's like at the end of Ratatouille when the chef goes and he eats that meal, and it
Yeah.
sends him back to his childhood home.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's the Disney
Yeah.
reference for. So yeah, and that's music can do so much.
Yeah.
Which is why, to help my mental health, and kind of everybody kind of got stuck in with this.
Yeah, definitely.
It was purely about, let's see just how far we can go. And, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
But it just, it's just about creating music. There's one of the things that if you don't play a musical instrument, to get that feeling of basically the artistic, be a bit flowery language, but the artistic and creativeness, of being able to create something that is in your head, and then you can put it on computer, and then somebody sings on it, and then one of the things that we've done on these songs is we send the mixes to a guy called Jesse Cannon, who's like a very famous producer and mixing engineer in the United States. He's worked with Limp Bizkit and The Cure and Dillinger Escape Plan and Man Overboard and that kind of thing. And he masters the song. So that's where we're putting the money to, and send it back. And when I get it back, I was like, this sounds insane.
Yeah.
And this started from an idea in your head. And it's about, it's about being as creative as you can and getting what you can out of stuff.
Just a crazy concept. As someone, I like music, but I don't necessarily understand the technicalities of music. So to me, it's crazy the fact that you're sitting in Yorkshire recording a song with someone in Japan, and it's all coming together and it's sounding perfectly put together, and I just can't get my head around how you can be that many miles apart producing something that sounds like you've been in the same room.
Yeah, to be fair, there's quite a fair few projects like mine that kind of started from COVID that do exactly the same. You get a bunch of guys who know exactly what they're doing, and it is just the case of writing stuff, sending files backwards and forwards, and bish bash bosh, you're done.
A lot of the bands I saw like during COVID were doing sort of isolation sessions, so they were all in their own studios, sort of recording the different bits of song, not new songs, but songs they've already got or cover versions, stuff, and then sort of piecing them together for a recording. It's just it just seems everything's moved on so much that can be done.
Yeah, well, even I'm wearing a Downbeat hoodie. So the Downbeat is a podcast of Craig Reynolds, who drums for Stray from the Path. And during COVID, him and the guitarist Tom actually wrote songs on Twitch.
Wow.
For their new record. They basically jammed live and people could watch it. And so, it was about, technology has changed so much. When I was, in my very first band, when I was 16, 17, 18, it was like you'd go to this recording studio and it cost a lot of money. You'd go in, you'd have a day. You didn't really know what you were doing, but time's always against you. And when you're in you go to a recording studio, you're paying for the time and the experience of the guy. And if you ain't got enough money, sometimes the stuff that you end up getting back it's not going to sound great because
No.
you haven't got the money to then spend the time to make it sound better.
Yeah.
Whereas I can tinker till my heart's content on a riff or something, on a mix, a rough mix and demo, and until it's actually put, you know, what's the old adage that songs are never finished. You just have to let them go.
Oh, really? Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I suppose you probably listen to stuff back now and think, well, I could have done that, or I could have done this, and you know, you'd be forever kind of touching it and tinkering with it and changing bits, and it'd never be done because you'd always be trying to improve it. So I suppose you have to get to the point where
exactly, you've got to draw a line under stuff, and it's just a case of just okay, I'm happy with that one. The vocals are done. Some of the people have basically said, I like this song. Is there any chance you can change those chords around? And then can you write me a bridge part here because I've got a vocal melody? And then I'll go, okay, yeah, I've got a couple of days. I'll do that, change this around, blah, 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 and resend it to them. And it's literally in the case of 2 to 3 days, they've said, can you make changes? I've re-recorded them and sent it back to them and go, yeah, this is great. And then done the vocals over the top. So some people said, yeah, this is 90% there. Can you just change these chords around? And it's an easy thing to do because everything's digital. Yeah.
I suppose you only need to record that small part. You don't record the whole song again, do you?
No, exactly. And then just drop it in. You know, it's the thing is when you're using all this kind of stuff, you can save your original settings and all the levels and everything. You just plug your guitar in, click on that, and done. And then just tweak the mix and then send it back. And that's it. It's as easy as that.
So with the songs, but when you've created a track, do you only ever send it to one band to work with, or one person, or do you send it to more than one to see what different people come up with? Or
no, how it's worked is it's so I'll get the group, get the singers that are going to be working on stuff, and I'll say, here's 3 songs, do you like any of these? If not, send them back, and then I'll send them another 3 songs, and they'll say, yeah, I like that. So then the one that they've picked, it goes into another folder on my computer, so that's allocated. And then the other ones go into, like, it's an unclaimed songs folder. And the kind of, I have it's kind of anal, but I have like a different kind of color mechanism of marking everything. So it's like, obviously green is good to go, and you've got yellow being mulled over. So, because the last thing I want to do is send the same song to 2 people and they both pick the same song.
But that could be interesting though, couldn't it? If you sent it to 2 to see what they come up with and see how different it ends up, that could be interesting. The same music and seeing.
I've done it with, obviously I've got guest guitars, like solos and stuff. And I was like, in between this bar and this bar, I've kind of left it a little bit just rhythmy without any accents or anything on it. Is there any chance you can give me a 16-bar lead break? And they'll go, yeah, okay, give me 2 weeks. And so there is that kind of thing. One of the songs, the Mirror Image, with a guy called Mickey, who's a band from the tracks from Sweden. He was put, I didn't know him, and he was put onto by my old guitar player in my old band. And that was an old song, basically, from our previous band that we just rejigged and sent it to him. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to change the vocals and do this. And it was like, bam, immediately.
Really interesting. It just seems like the possibilities are endless. There's any amount of, you could have the different singers collaborating with each other, and it just seems like there's okay, you can't play live, but it just seems like there's infinite amounts of possibilities that you could do. Like it could be never ending.
It could be never ending. The things that have kind of changed the project now is obviously now COVID is over, so to speak, even though the infections are going up again. Everybody is now in their full-time band and going back doing their own band stuff. So the time frame for stuff is kind of getting bigger and bigger, because obviously, like I said, it's all done on goodwill. I can't make any demands of them, and it's about trying to fit stuff in that around what they're, you know, they're gigging, they're touring, they're writing their records. And so it is purely a case of we just keep going, we'll plan a strategy, and it's literally planning 9 months in advance. It's that far ahead.
With the sheer amount of people you're working with, if 4 of the bands are busy touring or recording their own stuff, you've got so many more that you could be working with. It's like, it's unlikely that they're all going to be busy all at the same time.
It is, but once again, it's pinning people down to say yes. There's people who have had tracks for over 2 years and Still haven't finished them yet. So it's and you know, we do have all the best intentions of sorting a plan out and go, okay, these two people are singing on this one, these two people are singing on this one, these two people so we work in 10 song stretch. So you know, we're going up to song 20, so between 10 and 20. But they've had a couple of people drop out due to stuff at home. And it's like, I can't get this done in time. It's like, oh shit. So I need to pull that person from that release and bring it forward. It's bloody stressful. But
so are you in another band, or is this your own?
No, this is my only band now at the moment, because you know, this is I've got a full-time job. I work for a living. It's a hobby. You know, it's an expensive hobby, but it's something that gives me a great deal of happiness, because that's you know, you've got to do that in life.
Well, this is the thing, you have to find something. I mean, doing Click Roll Boom is, again, for me, it's a labor of love, but I feel like it takes over every spare minute of every day. It's just like it's when you enjoy doing something, it can consume you, and you hardly know it's consumed you because you enjoy doing it.
Exactly. And the fact that it doesn't feel like a chore, the creating the stuff is just, it's so much fun. It's the panic of not getting stuff when I've asked for it, and then thinking, oh shit, because you have to upload the tracks to your distributor before to go to Spotify, like a month. So you're always working backwards, like, okay, we've got a planned release date. I need to be uploading the tracks this week, which means I need to get the masters back by this, and the mixes need to be done there. And it's kind of working that way. And it's, I'd start a brand new job tomorrow. So my shifts and everything have changed. So it's trying to get songs that are coming out next spring, so me and Danny can get into his recording studio to re-record the guitars. And it's now trying to find a window when we can actually go in. So it's the logistics. Same with anything. The actual creativity is the fun part. The logistics is
but when you run out of time in the day, I find with this, I have so many ideas, I have no time to get them. I've so many ideas, always want to work on something, but then you just run out of time, otherwise you'd never sleep, kind of thing. So
yeah, pretty much. You know, the last couple of sessions we've had re-recording guitars at Danny's studio, we've been finishing at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Crazy.
And you're literally like 16 hours doing stuff, and just I had to say, we need to stop, I'm falling asleep, but I've got a 90-minute drive home, so it's, you know, but it's there's so many people that are involved, and I have the utmost admiration and respect for the time that they've given me. And you know, if the project kind of peters out because of, I'm not saying lack of interest, because you know, the follows and all the music providers are going up. You know, I've had a lot of the last EP has been very successful, and people have really loved it. And it's like, right, I really want this to work now. So it's like, we'll just keep going. And maybe if it does kind of peter out in, you know, at the end of next year or whenever, I may kind of feel myself like going towards playing in a band again. But part of the ego of having control over this is like, this is my baby. And, you know, if you've got four people in a music room fighting for stuff in the song, sometimes can be a massive pain. So at least I've got a bit of a control freak issue with this. Is fact, well, these are my songs, and fundamentally, the buck stops with me. But I can basically give what I can do for them, and they give all of their expertise, which elevates what I do. Because if it wasn't for all the contributors and all their talent with singing, it wouldn't be anything. So, you know, I'm totally indebted to those guys who've actually spent time to actually do it.
Although I suppose you could do it as an instrumental project.
You could, but
there's a lot of those coming up at the moment.
There are. I'm a big fan of like Intervals and I Built the Sky and that kind of stuff. I'm not a guitar virtuoso to make songs interesting enough to be instrumental. I need the vocal talent.
Well, I'm not a big fan of instrumental music anyway. I like to have words to listen to and things to latch onto and stuff. I've never been a big fan of just, there's a lot of like local bands to hear that play instrumental, and they're good live, but I can't listen to them recorded because it doesn't keep my interest when it's just instrumental.
It doesn't give you that emotional link that you want from
and that's
your
very
music.
much what I look for in music, is to connect with it when I write reviews. If I don't connect with it on a like an emotional level, I find it very hard to review it. So if it hasn't got the words, then I just don't find I can connect at all.
Okay, well, that's that, you know, that you have to find what works for you.
Just out of interest, the EP is called The. Why is it
Yes,
called The?
it's
How'd
called
that come
The
about?
because the first 5 EPs are called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mhm.
The second 5 EPs, but basically they came together as a 10-track album.
Yeah.
The plan is these 5 EPs to come together a 10-track album.
Yeah.
And so it's called Only the True Fly Free. So Only is the first one, The is the second one, True will be the next one, then Fly, then Free. So when the 10 songs come out at the end,
that's a clever
only
concept. Yeah.
but then if you look at the first letter of each word, so 1, O, 2, 3, 4, 5. So OTTFF, Only the True Fly Free. So
Yeah.
it matches across both 10 songs.
Okay.
I just come up with this weird idea. I thought, yeah, that'll go.
That's
And obviously,
interesting. I hadn't know. Yeah.
but it's a way of kind of when all of the 10 songs are available, they actually then become a piece. You know, the first 10 songs was kind of thrown together in a random order. I am actually trying to plan as if this is an album. So the songs, when you get all 10 of them come out, they will have a flow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm going for. There's a little bit. The next one ideally will be out if Danny's recorded his vocals for his track, hopefully before Christmas.
Okay.
If not, it'll be just after. So the plan was always trying to be doing it every 7 to 8 weeks. Then a new one to come out, and that has been pretty much the case.
That's not too much pressure, then, is it? It's quite a long time.
No, but we are working 6-7 months in advance. So some of the tracks that we've got back that weren't due to be out in these 10 are maybe being pulled forward due to kind of delivery, but the flow is still there. So it's like I do always try to find something that has a punchy opener. And then you've got kind of, you wouldn't class it as an album track because each one is specifically kind of a single.
Because they're more like double A sides, what you're releasing, aren't they?
Yeah.
What typically would be a double A side.
They are. And, all of the stuff that I've read is basically about how to deliver music. And it was kind of, you should do one at a time because when you obviously upload stuff, you pitch to Spotify. Yeah. So if you've got 2 songs, you can only pick one of them to pitch to Spotify for playlist stuff. Yeah. But I want the tracks to be like a double A side, to be kind of showcasing some of the talent and obviously give light onto some of the guys. I don't know Ace from Shames in Japan, but Danny from Fair Dues, when he toured Japan, he put me onto them. So I went and listened to them and I was like, yeah, he's great. He's a really good singer. And I just randomly emailed him and he was like, yeah, this is great. Send me a track. And then the pick one done. And literally I got the vocals about 3 weeks later.
With working with someone in Japan, you could end up coming back with vocals that are in Japanese, which would be interesting as well.
It would be interesting. I can't say too much, but there is going to be a track in somebody's native language coming out in the new year. Cool. They said, do you want it in English or do you want it in my language? And I said, I want you to have ownership over the song. Yeah. If you want to do it in your native language, so be it. That, and that's going to be the first one out of the first 20 songs. That's actually not going to, it's not going to be in English.
See, I quite like it when they mix, like when someone, I don't know, the chorus is in English and the verse is in the native language. I think that always works quite well. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
But this is the idea. It's like I said about you don't finish songs, you just let them go.
Yeah,
it's me letting the song go, and then whatever they want to do on top is their stamp. And so it's I didn't have a problem with this person doing vocals in whatever language they wanted to do because they felt that their delivery, and I've already got the demo back, and it's absolutely mind blowing. I was like, oh, this is wild.
Yeah.
And it's just about how them feeling to be part of it, because you say we're all separated, we're all over the planet, and it's about bringing people together to have their part in what they do.
You could tell that on the EP, when I was listening, you could tell that it very much felt like it was camaraderie, it was to mates together kind of thing. I think that very much came across in your sound.
Yeah,
as a thing. I think it just was very much.
That's part of the scene. That's everybody's really friendly. You can constantly go in and see. You can go to festivals all over the world, and if you don't know people, by the end of the week you will know people. Everybody's really, really good. A lot of the project kind of. I know we're seeing the time left before this recording stops on Zoom. I'll make this. So a lot of the project really stems from Chic, from PMX. who sings on Ghosts on the last record.
Yeah.
It's his drum MIDI packs that made all this possible, because he writes drum MIDI patterns for like drum patterns. So he gives you packs and it's all drums laid out and you just mix and match and that kind of stuff for melodies. So all of my scratch drums I replaced with the project that he bought. And it was really funny when I said to him, you do realize you're actually playing drums on this song as well? Because technically he's recorded the drums with this MIDI pack that I bought that helps program everything. So he's done the vocals and pretty much done the drums on the song as well. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be where we are now. So, I'm indebted to John from PMX, Chic, his name is. Just because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So, but that's technology. Somebody in their bedroom has created a project, which means that I can give these songs life. So
it really does.
It's wild, isn't it?
That's why I kind of knew that when I had your EP and I read all the blurb and I didn't really understand how it was all piecing together. I thought, do you know what? Whether it was being a phone interview or a paper, I thought I have to understand this. I feel like it needs exposure, because although I know you're saying there's other people that do it, but to me it feels so unique to what we get into review or like do promo for and stuff. It just felt so unique. I thought this is worth that extra bit of attention just to try and understand and get it out there.
Well, I much appreciate that, because I'm a single kind of project and trying to get any exposure. There's 30 or 40 emails that go out with every release. So
much going on. And I know we get singles. We get so many singles that it's just impossible to review them all. It's so hard. And we're only a small blog and we're just getting flooded every week with, I've got this single coming out, can you review it? And it's crazy. So much good. And the thing is, there's so much good new music as well.
It's constantly.
It's just so good. Our local scene around here is just incredible.
Yeah, and that's something, it's very much, every age is a golden age for music, and we just keep going. People will still make it because it's so important to people's lives. And that's I'm trying to make this little imprint for my little project for the joy that it gives me, but to see, get emails, and I've got a lot of listeners in Canada, a lot of listeners in Brazil, and it's like wild. It's like I'm doing this in my bedroom and there's people all over.
It's crazy now. The fact that
and just when you look
access anything.
And just looking at the metrics, it makes me smile when you see all these random places. I like even Google, where the hell is this place in Florida? And see, it's like there's loads of people listening to it. How have they got into this? So
it's crazy,
and that's great.
We better wrap up. We've got less than a minute.
Okay, I'll shut up. Thank you very much for
talking to you.
Spending this Sunday afternoon with you. It's been great, and thank you very much for the interview.
That's all right. I'll let you know when it's up. Okay. Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.